Good morning. Everybody in our audience today, you're all in the back of the room. Well, welcome to the TRECS training for the tax year 2020 payable in 2021. My name is Jackie Clements and I am the Director of Planning and Professional Development here at the Association of Indiana Counties. And I'm going to hopefully enlighten you with some information and help this program be easier for those of you who are longtime participants and those of you who are new participants. I always start out every presentation with a joke, so I'm going to start one. I have an 8-year-old grandson who is constantly calling me, and the other day he called me and I was able to answer this joke and it just floored him. But I'm going to pass it on to you and see what you think. So he calls and he says, "Okay, Mimi, I got one for you. Why does the chicken do jumping jacks?" To scramble their eggs. So that's our joke for today. TRECS was a program that was started in 2017 when the legislature gave us the ability at the local level to do what the state has done for several years by intercepting tax refunds, Indiana income tax refunds, for debt that is owed to a local unit of government. In the first year, we had 4 units that started with us. It was 3 counties and 1 city of Indianapolis. And now we have grown to this year where we had 74 participants. TRECS can be used for any debt owed to local government. Property taxes, judgments, community corrections, school fees, any debt that you can send to a debt collection agency or that you could collect can be processed through the TRECS program. Our year for TRECS is just beginning to get started here pretty soon. Our TRECS year runs from December 1st to September 30th. And we have that cycle because the Department of Revenue starts running in January. We run it through September 30th so that any match that we've had has time to process itself out. There is a 45-day window in that cycle, and in order to get everything completed before we're ready to start the new year, we stop on September 30th and give them that 45-day allowance. That also gives you time to clean up your files in that time to remove old debt that has been paid or debt that you no longer want in the program. And it allows us to purge our files as the Department of Revenue requires a new file in January of each year. So getting started with TRECS, most of you have already done this, but there might be some of you watching today or in the future because this is recorded. Those of you have completed a memorandum of understanding. And that memorandum must be signed by the appropriate body. So if you're a school, it could be your school board or your school superintendent, depending on the purchasing laws. In the county, it's the county commissioners. In most cities and towns, it's either the town board or the town council. And there's also a participation form that needs completed. You'll email both of those back to me at the address you see on the slide, and when we receive those, we will sign those and return a copy of the completed MOU to you via email. And the final thing that you need to do just to get started in the program is to set up a Trust Indiana account. I've put the contact information for Cynthia Barger, who is the lead at Trust Indiana. Everyone has to have a Trust Indiana account. Now, you don't have to invest with Trust Indiana, but you must have a Trust Indiana account because that's where we process and have the ability to get the money onto you. On page 5 of the Memorandum of Understanding, I get quite often the questions of who gets filled in those blanks. And the blanks are the debt set-off coordinator. That person is the person that you want being contacted if there is a question or we need to contact someone about it. And then you are the claimant agency and your address are the other 2 blanks on that page. So next, after we've gotten all of those things done, and let me stop here just a minute because I forgot to tell you this at the beginning. If you have a question, we are live, so we are watching the chat on YouTube, or you can contact us with a question at 765-438-6823 with a text. We're monitoring both of those throughout the program, and know that you are about 30 seconds behind what I'm saying, so it may take a minute or two for us to get to the question and give it to you, but we will get to all of the questions before the end of the program. And the lady who's watching us, or watching the chat for us, would like for every member who's watching to say hi in chat, if you could, please. So this is our webpage, and where you go to set up your portal. And the portal is where all of the information is transferred, both from you and to you. You'll log into our webpage, and as you see on the page there is a button that says TRECS Debt Set-Off. Now that's new because that has moved for the past participants. We've moved that TRECS button from lower in the page up to the top of the page because we feel that it's really an important part of the service that we give to you. When you click on that TRECS Set-Off button, you will go to this page, and this page is full of information about the program. Now, be advised, we are updating this page every year. About this time, we'll update this page and get some new information out there, clear out some old information where things have changed. But this has a plethora of information for you, of frequently asked questions and sample letters, sample notices that can assist you in operating the program. But as you get ready, once you've gotten the MOU, you'll go down to this page, and at the bottom of the page, you'll see an Indiana Association TRECS Secured Debt File Upload, and that's where we have the arrow, and that's what you'll click. When you do, you'll come to the next page, and I'm not showing you the entire page, just a portion of it. But about 3/4 of the way down the page is a new participant. If you are a new participant, you will need to register to allow us to give you credentials and get your agency code number. So you'll click on that paragraph, the register, in the paragraph that's called new participants, and when you do, down in the bottom right-hand corner, this screen will pop up. And in this screen, you insert your email address and you create your own password. Now, please know that we have no way of telling you what your passwords are. They're encrypted in our system. We have no clue. So if you forget your password, you'll have to go through the forget password process on the original login screen. So create a password that's easy for you to remember. Each person in your office that's going to be operating the TRECS program can have their own login, or you can have one login for your unit of government. Total choice by you. So when you put that email address in and your password and you click the register button, in the upper corner of this, the screen will pop up. And it will tell you to go to your email and get a code. And the code's, I think, like a 4 or 5 digit code. You'll enter that code, and it comes very quickly. You'll enter that code in the box below the email address and click confirm. At that point in time, the screen, the screen will pop up that says that you've successfully verified your account, and you'll receive your credentials shortly. At that point in time, I get an email notification that says a specific unit or a specific email is requesting credentials into the program. I go in and I will establish your credentials, and your credentials are actually your agency code. Now, the agency code is different for everybody, and we have a little bit of a system on how we create it. For those of you who are a county, Your agency code is your county number, like Boone County is 06, and the first 3 letters of your county name. So for Boone County, their agency code is 06 BOO, B-O-O. For any departments within Boone County, we have the 06, and then we have a series of zeros, and depending on which department you are, whether you're community corrections, or whether you're probation, or whether you're the emergency ambulance service, we have codes of 1, 2, 8 that we put at an extension on the end of that. So for everyone, that number at the beginning is the county number. All of the other agencies would be schools, cities, and towns will be using a number we took from the State Board of Accounts budget order numbers. And the first 2 digits, again, are your county. The second digit, or the third digit in the line, is the type of unit that you are, and cities and towns are a 3. And then the next 4 digits are your unit number, your specific unit number with the State Board of Accounts. And then the final number is the type of unit that you are. A town, I believe, is 2, and a city is 3, or vice versa. But that's kind of how we use and create those verification codes. It's an easy way that we don't duplicate then anyone's number, anyone's agency code, and only you have it, because our system operates and sorts by your agency code. So once you've gotten your verification, and you'll get notification when I put your credentials in, it'll send you a notice that you've gotten verification and give you your code. You are now ready to go and upload or download files. When you're logged into the system, you can see across the top above the Association of Indiana Counties banner, it says TRECS, upload, download, and local agency info. Those are the only ones that you'll see. You're seeing my screen here. And then to the right, if you're logged into the system, it will have your name or your email address, and the box will be logged out. If you are not logged in, that box will say log in, and you simply need to log in going down to the bottom of the page, putting your email address and your password in to be logged in. Once you've logged in, you stay logged in until you log yourself out. So on the upload tab, that is where you will send your files. On the download tab is where you'll receive the files from us, whether it be your letter file or a payment file or any other communication that's going to go out to specific agencies will be put in the download. And then the local agency information is one that you will want to stay on top of and keep up to date. This is the information that is fed to the Department of Revenue's website for your contact information on who you want to be contacted when there is a match from the Department of Revenue. And there is an automated telephone system that uses this information, that when someone's tax refund has been matched, they have the ability to call a toll-free number and find out just who that agency is, and the information that they get comes from this. You can update this information at any point in time, so if your people change through the year, or someone's off on vacation, or on family medical leave, whatever, you have the ability to change this information so that the right person is receiving the information from the Department of Revenue. So let's start by creating our file, and I hope that this is easier to see on your printout than it is on this screen. But the file for property tax systems is a file that's created within your property tax system. The rest of you might use your financial system to create a text file, or to create this Excel file, or you might just use the template and hand enter the information. If you're hand entering the information, The only fields that required when you submit the file are those with the blue header. So first name, middle name, last name, address, city, state, zip. The total tax is the amount of the debt, whether it be property taxes or school book rental fees or water fees, your agency code, and then the last required field is the debt unique key. And that debt unique key is one that you use in your system to be able to track that debt or payment. It can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can be an account number out of your system. For property taxes, it's usually their property tax ID. So it's your identifying number, whatever you want to use for that identifying number. You can add additional information if you so choose. It's not necessary, but if you want it in there, you can. And below the first line, you will see all of the additional information that will be used. If you happen to have the Social Security number, if you put it in there, we still will send it and get and check the Social Security number. But I do want you to know that if you put the Social Security number in the file, when you upload it, it is uploaded to an encrypted portal. It is transported between both our company that gets us the Social Security numbers and the Department of Revenue in encrypted websites, and those have federal requirements on what our data must be like and what we're sending before they'll accept our file for safety purposes. So when you create your file, no matter what system you choose to create it from, be sure that you create it and save it to your desktop. Now, there's some working ways around that file. If you're using your tax system, most of the tax systems, I believe, update the payment, and so they recreate the file periodically, and it updates the debt amounts as people come in and pay the taxes. For those of you that are using the manual system, you'll have to go in and update that tax amount, save it, and re-upload it to the portal. So this is the place, this is the screen of the upload tab. And this is where you'll go and upload your files. The agency code, I believe, will default to your agency code via your login. And then you go out and browse and choose your file, choose it, save it, and then click the upload button. And that's all you have to do to upload your file. From that point in time, the clearinghouse then takes the files, they merge them all together, and they send them to LexisNexis to obtain Social Security numbers. When that file comes back to us, and the Social Security number match that they send us is somewhere around 86%. So they're able to find about 86% of the debts that come in. They're able to find the Social Security numbers. When the file comes back to us, the clearinghouse again compiles all those files, puts it in one master file, and then we send it beginning the middle of January, usually around Martin Luther King holiday, to the Department of Revenue. We send it daily. And we send it daily because we're receiving files from our local units of government daily, whether it be a new file or whether it be an updated file where you've changed information or added information. We send a file to the Department of Revenue daily. They run that file daily. So if we send it on Tuesday, they run the file on Wednesday. The clearinghouse requests that you send us a new file at least every Tuesday. The reason for that is being, if people have come in and paid, we don't want to offset their refund. And if we have match their refund, we want to release it if they've paid. And by doing that on a constant basis, we can make sure that those refunds that are paid get back out to our taxpayers. So what do we do when we get a match? Well, when we get a match, the Department of Revenue immediately puts a hold on the refund. However, it only holds the amount of debt to cover the debt and the fees, and the remainder, if it's larger than our debt, goes to the debtor, the taxpayer. We don't hold their entire refund. And this is often when people realize that their tax refund got held. They'll get their refund ACH'd into their bank account, and at that point in time, it's not what they expected, and they are immediately in a tizzy wondering what happened to their refund. They'll go to the Department of Revenue website, they'll check the status, and they'll find that there's a hold on a portion of their refund. You may not know that that's being held, and the reason being, we only get a file from the Department of Revenue every Wednesday. And they put the match on immediately. So the taxpayer could by chance find out if they're checking their status on a day-to-day basis before you know. Just know that that could happen. But if they call you, you can be assured it will be on your next Wednesday download unless it gets released. So on Wednesdays, the Department of Revenue sends us 2 files. One file is called a match file, and the other one is called a non-match file. And our match file is where the name, the social security number, and the address all match up perfectly. The non-match file is where the name might be a little bit off because maybe someone's gotten married, or the social security number and the address didn't match up. And at that point in time, the clearinghouse goes through and they scrub and release those that happen to be potential errors. The clearinghouse then downloads what's called a letter file into your portal, and that will come on Fridays, usually by 10 o'clock in the morning. And when you receive the letter file, it's a pretty extensive long file. It comes in both .csv and Excel, and you can pull it down whichever way you choose to work with it. But that file has a plethora of information. It has the debtor's name and address that you sent in, what county is holding the refund, your contact information, the amount of the debt, your address, your email information, and then it will have the debtor's name, the debt unique key, which is called the property key, the amount of the refund, and this is how much is going to be coming back, the agency that's getting its number, and the final important part is the Department of Revenue address. That Department of Revenue address, if you notice on the example that you see, is different from the one you sent in. You now have an updated address for these people. Chances are they've moved and they're at a new address, and so they're reporting under the new address. And you very well could be sending letters to the old address and keep getting them back. At this point in time, you must send within 15 days a letter out to every one of those matches. And you have 15 days to do that. If you choose, we can do that for you. We have a letter service agreement that we will send your notices of match out on that Friday and download a PDF of each of those letters that are sent to you. The debtor then has 30 days from the date of that letter to come in and pay you, or challenge the debt, or put an appeal in writing. And I'm not going to go into the appeal process too much because we've only had like 20 in the last 4 years where people actually appealed, so it's not a common thing. Most people call, you have the discussion on the phone, you determine whether it is or it isn't the right debt and debtor, and you move forward. We've really only had maybe 6 that went to a hearing committee. Now, the hearing committee is one that you set up in your local unit, and for the county, it might be the treasurer and the auditor and the assessor, or it might be the treasurer and the treasurer's chief deputy. In the city, it might be the clerk treasurer, or it might be the utility director and the clerk treasurer. However you want to set it up, there is no statutory requirement of who is on that committee, but you have to allow the debtor the ability to challenge their debt if they so choose. If they truly want to challenge it, they must do it in writing, and then once you've met with them and you've made your determination must also be in writing. And samples of those are on that debt set-off tools page. In the very beginning, they were prepared by the Marion County attorney in the first year, and that attorney allowed us to share them with all of you for a template that you could use for your process. You have the option to send either to your address or to the DOR address or to both. Now, I will say if you're using the clearinghouse, I would recommend that you use the Department of Revenue address, because if you use both, you will be charged $2 for each. That $2 fee also can be paid from postage. We check that out. So once these payments start coming in, when a debtor pays, you can just go in and change their debt to zero. Don't remove them from the file. If you do, the file will get rejected when you try to upload it. You can never remove a line from the file in a given year once you've submitted your original file. But if you set the debt to zero, we'll ignore that. That's not our requirement, that's a Department of Revenue requirement, and they just don't fold on that at all. If the debtor pays just a portion of the debt, you can update the debt amount, or if you want their debt released, go ahead and set it to zero. The only way the debt will get released is if you set that debt to zero. Then you resubmit that file to us again, no less than once a week, and we recommend Tuesday just because it's a target day. Mondays are never a good day to have to do something, and Tuesday is a target day. You can thank Tuesday TRECS. I do a lot of word association. So this is a copy of the sample notification letter that we use, and this information is required information. The verbiage can be a little bit different, but the information that's on there, such as your agency, your contact information, and your phone number, the amount of debt, the fact that there's a $20 clearing fee, and the fact that the Department of Revenue will hold additional money, all of that information must be in the letter. How you word it can be a little bit different, but you should state the IC code. This letter can easily be recreated and do a template, but this is kind of what our letters look like as they go out the door. No questions yet? Oh, okay, let's take a couple of questions before we go further.
First question, are the MOU and participation form only for new participants?
The question was, are the MOU and the participation form only for new units? Yes and no. Yes on the MOU. Once you've signed an MOU, it's evergreen. You have the ability to stop the MOU if you just send us notice in writing. But the MOU is evergreen and can carry forward. The participation form, you'll be receiving probably in the next week, and because I don't like to send multiple things at one time, a new participation form to sign and send back to us. It's the way that we can just kind of keep track that what's in the information, agency information page is what's up to date. And so I'll be sending a participation form. If someone changes within your office and you are switching people and who's responsible, it's helpful to us to send us a new information participation form.
The next question, the name
Okay, the question was, the name field can either be the full name field or the first name, last name, or first name, middle name, last name, and that is correct. One or the other. You don't have to fill out both. Just when you use the name field, don't use commas. It's last name, first name. Is that all? Okay.
Is the match letter the only mandatory letter?
The match letter is the only mandatory. In the beginning, we had a mandatory courtesy letter, and you were required to send notice to everybody who you thought you were going to put in the system. And then you had to send another match letter, and the Department of Revenue sends out a small notice when it's hit. So there were just too many letters going out. We were duplicating a lot of work. So in the second year, after we got through the first year and found out some of the things we needed to tweak, that was one of them. And the legislators agreed there is no sense of the county notifying twice so closely. They've already notified that they have delinquent debt, or the units have delinquent debt, and so they did away with the mandatory courtesy letter prior to the submission of the file. There is only a required letter when there is a match.
Next question. If there is a match based on a social security number and it is pulled back later for another reason, X last name changed, divorce, marriage, why not accept it as a match based on the social security number? If the customer has 30 days to dispute the amount, why not let them dispute it once they receive their letter?
The reason we don't is because it normally is, it most often is when we have a junior senior, or an address and a name don't match. If it's Sandra Jones who married Sandra Smith and they're at the same address, we don't scrub that one out. We only scrub those that we think are potential errors. We don't release everything that's not a perfect match. That's why we scrub the files. Good? Okay. Great questions. So, once we get a match, and once they don't pay, 45 days is when that payment file comes to us. Now, I'm going to talk about the 45 days just a second here before we go on. The importance of sending that letter in the first 15 days allows you as a local unit to have time to get your work done when the debtor comes in and pays on his 30th day. And here's an example, and this was one of the lessons that we learned in the first year, second year even more. If you wait till the 15th day, the debtor has until that 45th day. If they pay by credit card online on the 45th day, you don't get notice until after the 45-day notice window is gone. Once the Department of Revenue offsets the tax refund, there's no going back, and there's no refunding of the 15% that they hold. So if you get it out within the first 3 or 4 days, and they have 30 days to pay, you now have a week to 10 days window for that debtor to pay on the 30th day, and that credit card hit your account so that you know it's there. We had a few, and let me say that we here at the clearinghouse, which usually is me that you'll be talking to, we'll work with you when errors are made and issues happen. We have been known here at the clearinghouse to waive the $20 fee if the error is beyond the county's control, or if it's our error. But the Department of Revenue refuses to do the 15%. And so we want to highly encourage, and we constantly are saying, get the letters out quickly, get the letters out quickly. Give yourself leeway for slow mail and those credit card debts that come in when they pay online. So when your payment file comes, it's a small file, and you're seeing the entire file on your page. It just has the debt key, that's our number, and your debt unique key, which is your identification number, who the debtor is, their address, and the amount that was withheld. Now, the previous debt is the total amount debt. That's the first column. The next column is the county amount, and this is the amount that you receive. The clearinghouse gets $20 for every match, and the Department of Revenue gets 15% of the amount that was matched. So this is your breakdown for your records. I will tell you, this is a file that came late in the year, and which was probably amended returns, which is why it isn't the dollar amounts aren't very great. But this is what your payment file looks like. You have the ability to use this file and create either your text file to upload into your financial system, whether it be property taxes or your financial, or just to enter it in and manually enter them in. We do not create what's called a payment file for you to process. This is all we create is this Excel spreadsheet. And again, it is downloaded into the download tab of the portal in your agency, and it's downloaded in both .csv and Excel. I'm reading my notes here to make sure I've told you everything. These two are downloaded on Fridays. They usually hit about the same time as the letter file, maybe a little bit afterwards. And once the Department of Revenue pulls that file, they will instruct the state auditor to make payment. Now, we're at the mercy again at the Department of Revenue and the state auditor's office, depending on the time of year, how busy they are, where we hit in the state auditor's claim process, the time frame of when the money gets from the state into the Trust Indiana account. It might be 5 days, it might be 14 days. We never know, we have no control, and the Department of Revenue never tells us, exactly when they're coming. We just get a notice that it was sent to the state auditor's office. And then the state auditor's office sends us notice when they send it to Trust Indiana. But once the money is deposited into Trust Indiana, it will turn around in 48 hours. They're very quick about turning it around. They'll disperse the money into each of the individual units via the amount that they are supposed to receive from the payment file, and then you at that time can ACH the revenues into your account, or you can leave them there to make interest, whatever. Any interest that's made at Trust Indiana in that 48-day window is also allocated back to the county or back to the units of government, and we've always recommended that you treat that interest just like any other bank interest that you have on total monies and deposit it into your general fund. There's just no way that you could allocate, because it's pennies usually, that you could allocate it fairly between the debtors, and so we just deposit it into your general fund. So in 2019, we had 74 participating units that we offset $1,445,412. And I can tell you, since this, we've received another 2 payments from the department that total about $18,000. So we're up over $1,460,000. We had 21 counties participate in, 21 cities and towns, 3 probation departments, 1 housing authority, 9 schools, 4 emergency medical services, community corrections, and courts. All of these units participated, but I will tell you, the 21 counties, probably 3/4 of them froze their revenue or froze their files back in April when the pandemic hit. And they did that because didn't feel like they could come in and manage the file and keep their files updated and uploaded into the portal timely enough with the pandemic and the orders that were out at that point in time. So had all of the counties participated the entire time, I'm sure this number would have been much larger. You have the ability to freeze that file and stop at any point in time, and then even start it back up again. So some of the counties that froze in April picked back up in May after the tax collection, the first tax collection was over, and picked up a few more dollars before the county stop on June 1. As of June 1, the counties no longer, we no longer process any of the county's files at the Department of Revenue because they're starting their tax sale process and their demand notices. You can only collect or try to collect the debt from one source at a time. So if you're collecting through TRECS, you cannot send it to a collection agency. And for those of you who are cities and towns with sewer liens, you have the ability to process it through TRECS, and then if you don't get it, send it on to the county if you so choose. But you can't send it to the county and then process it through the TRECS program. We can only try to collect the debt from one source at a time. If you're using a collection agency and they have some really old debt that they haven't gotten for you, contact that collection agency and say, you know, I'm going to put a hold on these, don't try to collect these anymore, put them into TRECS. In the first year, Marion County went back 10 years on their judgments and put all 10 years of those judgments in. There is not a statutorial time for us. There's only whatever statutorial time limit you have to collect your debt is what the TRECS program follows by. It truly is a win-win situation for all units of local government. You receive your money sooner, you're not waiting out so long. It's a win-win for the taxpayer or your debtor. There are smaller collection fees than sending them to the collection agency, and they have the ability, once it goes, to even pay it with no additional fees, where once you send it to the collection agency, the fees are put on and they're good forever. And then it also never goes on their credit report. We never send any information to the credit bureaus about the people who are on the program. So it's really a win-win situation for you and the taxpayer. It keeps them out of tax sale, it keeps them out of tax collection, and possibly gets them in to talk to you to get a process going to pay their debt off in a timely manner. So TRECS, again, offers the letter service agreement for $2 a letter that's mailed, and we would use the updater. We would recommend that you check the updated addresses from the Department of Revenue. And I think that's my last slide. So I think we have a few more questions here.
When we receive payment through a DOR match, we don't adjust submission files and correct?
The amounts do get. Let me repeat the question. When you receive a payment from the Department of Revenue match, you don't change the amounts. It will no longer match, but yes, you really should change the amounts in your file. It's going to change in your financial system if you use the financial system to pay or you use the property system to pay. And the reason I say that, it will help you clean up your file at the end of the year. So I would recommend that you do make the change into the system, into your file, so that you know what debts are paid at the end of the year and when you're cleaning up your file to start for the new year. Is that all that we have? Okay, I'm going to give you a few minutes to either text and the number to text is 765-438-6823, or talk in the chat. This will be recorded, and you can go back and review this recording at a later date. Use the same link if you want to go back through and watch anything. You also have the ability to send me questions that, and I'll do a frequently asked question and send it out to everyone, but you can send me questions via email or call me at any point in time, and we can discuss questions that you have or best practices that you might want to use. Oh, we have another one.
We cannot remove names once the original file is uploaded. Only change the amount to 0 if paid in full. But we can add new debt as it occurred after the creation of the original file.
Okay, so the question is, we cannot remove names after the original file is submitted. We just changed the debt to 0, but we can add new names. That is correct. The Department of Revenue will not accept a file where a debt unique key falls off, but they will accept files with new names and debt unique keys. So that is correct. You never remove a line from a file once it's been submitted. That's one of those times where you say never and it really means never. Well, thanks for joining us today, and please, by all means, give us a call. I really look forward to working to you. As a former elected official, I really feel that this is such a great program. Trust me, I would never put an amazing amount of workload on you. I will tell you, it takes a little bit of time. It's not just an automatic, how you put your system together and you work it. It takes a little bit of time, but it is not a massive amount of work. It will not burden you with an overload of work, especially if you use our resources. So again, thanks for joining us. Stay safe and stay healthy.